Pickles, attack that boom cannon. That's some good attacking, Miss Pickles. Miss Pickles Gaming. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Hey, Mark here with Miss Pickles Gaming. Well, Christmas is right around the corner, and before I forget, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I got my wife, who graciously decided, or agreed to, turned down her Christmas movies so I could do this voiceover. Say hello, Carrie. Hello. So, she's over there playing with our 2 Labradors. All right, so we're going to start out today's video at the beside the Great Bridge, Site of Grace, which is the start of the Malekith. And instead of heading toward Malekith, we're going to turn around and take the lift back down. And we're not going to fight the guys that we had to fight to get into here. Just run past them. This guy will take a swipe at you, but don't worry about it. Run out to the outside edge, and what I like doing is turning right and just stepping off right here. This is the path to Placidusax, the Dragonlord, or the Dragonlord Placidusax, however you want to say it. I don't think it really matters. So we're just going to continue to jump and step down here, all the way down to the bottom rock platform, whatever these things are. So as you can see, there's some messages in this little concave here. You're going to lay down in here, and it's going to transport us to the boss arena with the Dragonlord Placidusax. And here we are. All right, so this is obviously a Scavengers bleed build. We're doing a series on this, and I have always found that pulling in a spirit summons is a tremendous help here. I have beaten Placidusax by myself with multiple different weapons. By the way, a fun weapon to beat him with is, I call it Bubbles, but it's the Envoy's Great Horn. That thing tears up Placidusax. You get underneath him, let the bubbles rip, and it just melts him. So if you want to have fun, kill him with bubbles. But today's video is on the Scavenger swords, and he is highly susceptible to blood loss, and that's what we're going to go for. We're also going to try and do it without a summons. So let's see how we do. The drawback of using this type of weapon is you have to be up close and personal, because this is not a ranged weapon. As you can see, it's getting the job done, but you're going to have to back off and take some HP when you get low, or this will happen. Again, we didn't have a spirit summons to distract him. This run through, we're going to have the spirit summons, and I have found that the Mimic doesn't really do much, but he offers a phenomenal distraction for you. Lost my perfume bottle there, and again, but I'm glad I had it. The uplifting aromatics in a fight like this are just wonderful to have. It seems like every time I put it on, though, it just gets taken away. So our first attack has gotten him down. Him. Is Placidusax a female or a male? I'm not sure on that one. But we'll just say him for the sake of this video. We've gotten him down below halfway with our first attack. And all we got to do is watch him come in and not get hit like that. So we'll reapply the uplifting aromatics and go to town again. This is looking good. However, since I've seen how this video goes, we got a long ways to go, people. I remember when I was playing this, I thought to myself, my God, am I going to lose? I mean, I am one hit away. Literally one hit away, full health, and there were a couple points here where I thought, I'm going to lose this. Every time I'd get into position, he would transport out, he would zap me with his lightning, I'd lose track of where he was, like that. And again, refilling my HP, he's into the phase where he's using all of his lasers and holy damage and just tearing me up. Again, refill the HP, reapply the uplifting aromatics, and get my butt kicked again. Like I said, I am one hit away, and the whole time during this battle, I'm thinking, I'm going to lose. Well, we finally got it done. Hey, thanks for watching. This is the end of the video, unless you are watching the version that has the full build. And if you're watching the full build, that starts right now. All right, we're going to start out at the first Mount Gilmore Site of Grace. And this will be the Site of Grace that'll take us to where our Scavenger Sword is located. So it's a pretty easy path. Just head this direction. Jump over a few rocks, avoid a few enemies. There is a pretty bad-tempered pumpkin head up here. Just run past him. And once you get to this point, if you want, you can get down and buff up. There will be a Scion up here that is going to want to attack you. He's guarding 2 items, one of them being what we're looking for. Being that I normally do not buff up to fight a Scion, but since this is a Scavengers Bleed build video, I thought I'd just go all out. This is not an overly powerful enemy that you have to defeat. So as you run up, he will drop down out of the sky or off the mountain. I'm not sure where he comes from. Jump attack. You got a hit in, but no big deal. And he is gone. Alright, like I said, there are 2 items over here. We're going to go past the first one. And over by the wagon is a dead body. You can see the marker on it. And right here is our Scavenger's Curved Sword. You only get one of them, and only one per playthrough. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. And over here, and I always mess up the pronunciation of this, soporific grease. Is that like horrific grease? I don't know. Anyways, this is where you're going to get your Scavenger Sword. All right, let's move on. All right, let's get right into the build. Starting off at the top of the list, we're going to need a pair of Scavenger's Curved Swords. As you notice, mine are labeled Scavenger's Occult Curved Sword. That's because I put the Ash of War seppuku on both of them. And with the seppuku, I scaled it with the Occult. When you scale it with the Occult, that brings in the arcane of that Ash of War. So with the Scavenger's Curved Swords, excuse me, I got tongue-tied there, it scales with strength, dexterity, and arcane. I'm going to want you to pump your arcane as much as you can afford in this build. Everything is going to be pumping through the arcane. All right, let's move on. Next up will be our White Mask. The White Mask is critical on this build. It basically says in the description, enhances blood loss damage once blood loss has occurred. So that's the key, once it has occurred. Well, that's why I started this description with the Scavengers Curve Swords with Seppuku. When we buff them in the very beginning and you apply the Seppuku, blood loss occurs right away, activating the white mask. So right away, from the very start, we get the bonus of the white mask throughout the fight. There is no time limit on that. So this is going to increase our blood loss damage, plain and simple. All right, next up is the Raptor's Black Feathers. What that's going to do for this build is it's going to enhance our jump attacks. When you're carrying 2 Scavenger's Curved Swords and you do a jump attack and you hit the bumper that's going to activate both swords, of course, you're actually going to be doing 6 hits during that jump. So we have multiple hits that are being enhanced for damage by the Raptor's Black Feathers. So it makes sense that the build is built for jump attacks. We might as well enhance them, and we're going to enhance them even more later. We're going to stack on top of this. So that's what the Raptor's Black Feathers is going to do for the build. Now let's complete the armor set with our gauntlets and greaves. I have chosen Lionel gauntlets and Lionel greaves. 2 reasons for this. 1, they offer phenomenal protection, and my style of play, I need as much damn protection as I can get. And 2, and probably most importantly, damn, they make this build look good. Okay? I'll be honest with you. In my opinion, it's a plain looking build, and I wanted to keep that look all the way through. So, that being said, use whatever gauntlets and greaves you think makes it look better. Try and pick something that's going to give you a lot of protection or more than something else. So I think that completes the armor set. Let's move on now. On to the talismans. Our first one will be the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. As you can see in the description, blood loss in the vicinity will increase the attack power. Well, again, once we use the Seppuku enhances the natural blood loss in the Scavenger's Curved Sword, but this also increases the Scavenger's Curved Sword blood loss, which means that the Seppuku buff will be even higher, and it also increases the Seppuku buff. So that increases again. I'm not going to sit here and do the math on every item. When I've done this before, I've gotten some comments / complaints. Show us the math. Prove it to us. Look at the build works. You'll see it in the video. It's just plain and simple. It works. I'm not going to sit here and do all the math and show you how it works. Trust me, it works. Okay? All right, on to the next one. Rotten Wing Sword Insignia will be the next talisman that we talk about. What this is going to do is it's going to enhance our multiple hits. I explained earlier that on our jump attacks, we get 6 hits in if you land them all, of course. And with the black feathers enhancing the jump attacks, we need something that's going to enhance the multiple hits. And that's where the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia comes in. If you don't have the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, you can just go with the Winged Sword Insignia. Okay, it's just one a little bit lower. The Rotten one is part of a quest line, and that's a whole nother video in itself. So if you have the Rotten one, use it. You can also use Millicent's Prosthesis, which does basically the same thing in a different way. But you can actually use in this build the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia and Millicent's Prosthesis. They stack together nicely. And then we'll get into this in the Wondrous Physics, we're going to bring in the Thorny Crack Tier, which is going to do the same thing again. So all three can stack together, which will make your damage just even more insane than it already is, because each one's building on the other one. However, because of my style, I couldn't afford to have Millicent's Prosthesis with this. I needed a little protection, a little defense, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. So if you don't need the protection and you want to go all offense, certainly add Millicent's Prosthesis in here also. So, all right, on to the next one. In the number 3 slot, I have the Claw Talisman. What that's going to do is it's going to enhance our jump attacks. Now you say, okay, we're already enhancing the jump attacks with the raptor's black feathers. Yeah, we are. This is going to take it to a totally insane level of what we're going to do. So enhance your jump attacks with the Claw Talisman. You will not regret it. For my last talisman, I'm running the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. Like I said earlier, I need some damage negation. I need help with the damage I'm going to take. This saves my butt more times than I can even imagine. So if you're better at dodging than I am and maybe using a shield, which is going to take away from one of our swords, so I don't recommend that. But if you don't need this, then definitely go more offensive. I need that huge damage negation buff it gives me. So, all right, that completes the talismans. Let's move on. All right, before we move on to the Wondrous Physics and finish up the build, I want to mention something that I use it a lot, which is the uplifting aromatics, which are your perfume bottles. Now, this is technically not part of the build per se. However, you can carry 10 perfume bottles if you've collected them all. And the uplifting aromatics gives you a protective bubble around you, good for one hit. All right. So you can take a massive hit and only take like a 1 or 2% damage. It does take a little tick off. It's hardly noticeable. And since you're carrying 10 of them, you can reapply it when it's convenient for you during a battle. And basically, if you can imagine being in a boss fight and being able to take 10 free hits while you're causing a ton of damage. So I think in this build, the uplifting aromatics are almost a must. Okay, there are different ways you can use the perfume bottles. You can actually craft them so that all of your attack power is enhanced even further. I really don't think this build needs that. It's already pretty offensive as it is. Pardon the pun there. I love the uplifting aromatics. Give it a shot, see what you think. All right, now we're back to the build. I just wanted to get that one in. Thanks. Now let's get into the aura buffs and the body buffs. Is there any build out there that doesn't include Golden Vow? I haven't seen very many. So naturally, we're going to use Golden Vow. It gives us offensive and defensive buffs and additions, whatever you want to call it. It's just the perfect all-around thing you want to do. Now, I was doing it incorrectly before this. In making this video, I realized my mistake. I started off with Golden Vow and I followed it up with Blessings of the Erdtree, which are both the same type of buffs. They're considered aura buffs. And you can only have one aura buff. You can have one body buff. You can have a weapons. You can have a, on and on and on. But you can only have one of each category. So every time I did that, the Blessings of the Erdtree canceled out my Golden Vow. and I was still doing very, very well without Golden Vow. And I'm looking forward now to seeing how much better I'm going to be with the Golden Vow. The Blessings of the Erdtree, that's a strictly HP. It regenerates your HP at the fastest rate the game will allow. So I don't think you really need Blessings of the Erdtree, but if you do, that's what that one does. Definitely use Golden Vow. All right. Next is our body buff. I am running the Flame Grant Me Strength, which increases our physical and fire damage abilities. The physical is what we're going to be using on this, so I forget the percentage, but it's enough that it makes a difference. It is not a defensive buff at all. The next one is an option if you want to go more defensive. So the other end of the spectrum from Flame Grant Me Strength would be Black Flame Protection, which is a more defensive or damage negation body buff. If you are getting close to defeating an enemy or a boss, but you're just dying right before the end, you may need more protection, and swap out Flame Grant Me Strength for Black Flame Protection and see if that improves your chances. All right, we're on to the Wondrous Physics. The first one we're going to use will be the Flame Shrouding Crack Tier. This is going to enhance our fire attacks, and you're probably saying, but the Scavengers does not have a fire attack. It does have some innate fire ability in it, and with the Flame Grant Me Strength, they work together, and the Flame Grant Me Strength offers a broad spectrum, so it's actually enhancing that. All right. Like I said, don't make me do the math. You won't be happy with the equations. The second item in our Wondrous Physics is going to be the Thorny Cracked Tier, and this is going to enhance our multiple hits. We are already running the Rotten Wing Insignia that enhances multiple hits. If you chose to go with the Millicent's Prosthesis, and now with the Thorny Crack Tier, they all stack on top of each other. They all enhance each other, and then all two or three of them, depending on which way you went, is going to enhance the multiple hits. This is a big key to the build, so don't forget to grab this one. And lastly is our seal. No, not that kind of seal, or that. They're all sea lions. I'm talking about the Dragon Communion Seal. The reason we're using this one instead of the other ones that are available to us is because it has an S scaling in Arcane. And in the very beginning, I told you that we're going to try and turn everything into Arcane. And when we added the Dragon Communion Seal on it, it just brought it all together. So that's the seal you want to use. All right, that is the build.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Oh, come on! Hey, where are you going? You watched the video and obviously enjoyed it, so you need to go back and click the subscribe button. I mean, come on now. You were raised better than this. It doesn't cost anything. Why wouldn't you?
And that's how she wrote.